Ale made some progress in Ukraine, and this is what we feel they have been very forward. The current direction will be amazing once you use it to get to Russia. There is some that troops continue to do that. And the success of the Ukraine which will continue to be because let's face it, if you're sending troops abroad, you're probably going to send them all the space that's going to be quite good. And the North Koreans are really effective. They're particularly really interested in the internet and on subjects in particular. And basically, well, maybe you can quite work out what they've done and they get killed in quite large numbers. And they also have the problem that to them, the Ukrainians and the Russians both look the same. And they adopt the principle of shoot first and ask questions later. So there's again an incidence of the North Koreans shooting both Russians and Ukrainians before they get mowed down in very, very large numbers. So this is a success for Russia, I suppose. But Russia has continued to. This is where the cost of running a war and manpower comes together. Russia has been increasing the amount it actually pays people for signing up, and these figures have increased significantly. So if you're a poor worker in the back end of nowhere, joining the Russian army is actually quite lucrative. But the other place to actually go is payments to factory workers have effectively gone up fourfold in the course of the year. So it's probably better value from the back end of the Russian Empire to go and work in a factory making tanks and to go and try and work actually fight them in Ukraine, where again the Russian tanks and the Russian military, it was much daunting before it actually came into conflict, where it's proved to be a bit of a paper tiger. And the evidence of losing confidence in Russian military equipment is the fact that Russia has lost virtually all the markets for its equipment because it's performed so badly in Ukraine in the actual conflict. But one of the things that's come to light in the last few weeks is the much vaunted Resonant missile, which Putin makes a big song and dance about it being hypersonic. Well, first of all, it's a ballistic missile, which means it goes outside the Earth's atmosphere, and simple physics says it's never going to be hypersonic on the way back in. So that's actually not a very big thing. And whilst it's a nuclear capable missile, he has several other larger, more capable nuclear weapons than the original. And let's face it, they're also very, very expensive for what they're actually been used for. The Ukrainian method of delivery of a scooter and killing a Russian general is a much more economic way of actually fighting a war than launching a very, very expensive missile with a very, very limited number of components available. So yes, the Russian army has managed to grind forward a bit, but they haven't ground forward significantly. And if it carries on as is, well, regrettably there's going to be a great deal more loss of life. So that's what I'd like to talk about, as I usually say at this point. Is anyone got any questions for me? No questions? We'll now have some Ukrainian music. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
I have to apologize to you all, my friends. Last time we did not speak about one of the many atrocities that Russia has committed. But alas, it has to be said that Russia commits so many that it is indeed not enough time to discuss every single one of them in detail in this short amount of time we have here at 10 Downing Street. Not too long ago, Russia has put down another civilian airplane. This time it was an Azerbaijan plane. With about more than 30 people died in this plane crash. Now, my friends, the question rises once more. How many more civilian planes will Russia have to put down before the world realizes the threat of this terrorist regime? You know, sometimes people ask us, why does this cause matter to me? Why is it relevant for me, for my family, for my country? My friends, the answer is quite obvious. These airplanes that were flying over Russia, they were not going to Russia. They were not going to Ukraine. They were not going from Ukraine or to Russia. They were going to a completely different country. It just so happens that they happened to be flying over Russian soil. And that was enough for the Russians to knock down these planes with people who have nothing to do with them or with the Ukrainian cause. They died because of Russian stupidity and incompetence, and because they're trigger happy. My friends, you know, I remember long ago Obama calling the relation between India and Pakistan cooks with nukes, because they both have nuclear weapons and they both keep threatening each other with nuclear annihilation. But in the Russian case, I think we can use the term cooks with air defense. Because indeed, if you give a chimp a machine gun, who is there to blame if the chimp kills someone? The same can be said with Russia. Are we still supposed to blame the psychopathic Russian regime 100%? Sure, they are the perpetrators. But the world community is enabling them to do as such. They're giving the chimp a machine gun and telling him, oh, wouldn't it be so funny if you start shooting around yourself? My friends, how much longer is this going to go on? How many more machine guns will be given to chimps like the Russian terrorist regime? We need to learn mistakes at long last. The Malaysia Airlines that happened years ago was put down by the Russians in Donbass, which, by the way, was an interesting situation because their first reaction was to gloat about it. They were saying, oh, look at that, we put down a birdie. But then, when it was clear that that was not a Ukrainian airplane, guess what they did? They removed that post from all social media and they blamed the Ukrainians of doing it. Always the same exact thing. And now we have the exact same situation. Another civilian airplane that has nothing to do with Ukraine or Russia has been brought down by Russia. My friends, this could be one of you one of these days. This could be a random person who has nothing to do with Ukraine or Russia flying from one side of the world to another over Russian soil. And the Russians just feel trigger happy enough to put down the plane. That is how bad it has gotten. Why allow them to continue doing this? Why allow them to continue putting down civilian airplanes? Why allow them to continue perpetrating war crimes in Ukraine? Why allow them to destabilize the whole world? Just so that corrupt politicians can say, oh, you know, I tried to de-escalate. What is that? What does it mean in this context? What is de-escalation with Russia? Is it giving them what they want and expecting them to change their ways? If so, then it's foolishness. It's pure insanity.
They have not changed their ways before. They will never change their ways until they are made to change their ways. It should have happened long ago. But here we are again. We are again sending the same message. Here we are again watching history repeat itself. Just like the Malaysia Airlines was shot down. Another plane, another civilian plane, it's been shot down around a week ago. How much more of this? That's the question we have to ask. How much more before people realize that it could be their loved ones that are shot down when flying to vacations in Tokyo or whatnot, just because they go over an inch of Russian soil. That is the way Russia sees the world, as target practice. Is there only going to be a reaction to this war crime, to these myriads of war crimes, when Russia puts down a plane full of people from America or something? Is that the only way for America, for the free world, to react appropriately to Russian aggression when they get a bloody nose themselves? Truly, my friends, that is a very disheartening reality to think of. We need to prevent further damage from being done. Prevention is the best kind of cure, so people say. However, the world has been sick for a long time with this virus called Russia, and it has been perpetually creating more and more problems. The prices of food are rising. Why? Because of Russia. They're preventing grain from leaving, which is some of the cheapest grain in the world, and it would drop the prices if it leaves Ukrainian ports in Odessa. Because the Russians are playing with oil and with gas. They're trying their best to use those resources in their favor. Not too long ago, one of these shadow fleet tankers, these decrepit, old, rusty ships, has an accident in Crimea, which resulted, guess what, in another ecocide. Well, congratulations, Russia. First, they blow up the dam that prevents the Dnipro River from flooding the estuary, at least used to prevent, which created an ecocide in the estuary of the Dnipro. Now, they're creating other disasters elsewhere. How much longer of this, my friends? And most importantly of all, where is Greenpeace? Where is Greta Thunberg? Where are all of these tree huggers? Where is Extinction Rebellion? Why are they not saying anything about this? Why is the Extinction Rebellion mute nowadays? They're not talking about the ecocides that the Russians are perpetrating in Ukraine. No, they're talking about nice and vague topics in the West. Oh, you know, we need to do this and that. Oh, we're destroying the planet. They're literally destroying the planet as we speak. And it can be easily stopped by providing Ukraine with what's necessary to stop them for good. But no, it's much easier to complain about the West, to complain about the free world, rather than to speak about the countries that are actually the biggest polluters of this planet. Russia, China, Iran. It's much easier, excuse me, it's much easier to be speaking about the governments who will not send assassins to put some Novichok in your tea when you're not looking. It's much easier, you know, much more comfortable. But truth be told, what is the point of the existence of Extinction Rebellion? What is the point of the existence of Greenpeace and of any green party in this world? If the environment gets ruined in one place, the whole world suffers. It's a global ecocide. And this is not the first or the last time Russia has done this. But alas, my friends, we hear nothing from all of these so-called protect the environment organizations, all of these tree huggers. They refuse to actually act when real damage is being done against the planet, when real damage is being done by Russia. Perhaps they do not know. Perhaps all these hipsters and tree huggers, they just don't understand the damage Russia is doing against the environment. But most likely, my friends, most likely, they just do whatever feels comfortable at the moment. They're not ideologues, they don't have an ideology. They just want to make themselves feel nice by not doing anything relevant, but at the same time not risking their hide ever. But nobody's asking them to risk their hide. All we ask for is one thing, for people to know and for people to speak about this, for people to spread awareness about the damage against the environment that Russia is doing as we speak, about the war crimes, the genocide, and the ecocide that Russia is perpetrating in Ukraine. Do people know that Russia blew up a huge ammonia pipe, which, by the way, is a poisonous gas, a few years ago, causing a large-scale disaster in Ukraine? Do people know that Russia blew up the dam preventing water from flooding the Dnipro estuary? And now guess what? The estuary is flooded. Hundreds of rare species of life are under risk. Some of them are rumored to be extinct. Do people speak about the large tanker that has now had an accident in Crimea, Russian tanker, a tanker they used to overcome the sanctions of the West? One of their many rusty, decrepit tankers that should never be setting sail. And yet it's around the world. They're going on parades, selling their cheap oil. And guess what? People buy it. People are happy. Oh, you know, let me get a few extra dollars. And Ukrainian lives at the cost of the environment of this world. My friends, has nobody seen the pictures, the videos of the animals blackened with crude oil that has leaked out of the Russian ships? Has nobody seen this? Well, it's time to look at it. It's time to think whether or not we as a species want to have a future. We're not going on here on some idiotic rants like Greta Thunberg does. How dare you, she says. Well, how dare she claim to be defending the environment and then remains mute when actual damage is being done? How dare her, my friends? How dare all of these self-righteous hypocrites claim they defend the environment, walk around with this hourglass symbol on them? Oh, Extinction Rebellion, oh, we're all going extinct. What are you doing about it? What are these Extinction Rebellion people doing about it? Nothing. Haven't heard them say a word about the disaster Russia has caused in Ukraine. But my friends, the truth of the matter remains that this situation is easily preventable. It's not a complicated situation like making every country in the world cooperate to stop releasing fossil fuels. It's not difficult like that. That is difficult. That is tough. How are you going to make China or Russia cooperate with that? You can't. They do whatever they please. And that's why they're some of the main polluters on this planet. Not the UK, not the US. But my friends, truth of the matter is, Russia can be prevented from being one of the main polluters on this earth by stopping their military, by dismantling their military force in Ukraine. And then, after the Russian government is no more, we can change the way Russia behaves. It's not out of reach. But people are scared. People hear this nuclear saber rattling. Oh, you know, we're going to send nuclear weapons against London. We're going to nuke London, yes. And they are afraid. They are genuinely afraid. Because they don't know any better. Because people forget that Belgravia is sometimes referred to as Londongrad. because of the huge amount of the children of the Russian oligarchs who live in this city. And yet people truly believe, with a straight face, that Putin is going to nuke London. When the creme de la creme of the Russian society lives here and uses this city to launder money, we're supposed to believe that their little bluff, that their little bit of, angry pouts against the West, they have some actual relevance? They do not, my friends. Never. Russia has threatened many things in the past. Nobody who expects to actually be true on his threats will threaten this much, my friends. Barkers don't bite. I'm sure you've all heard this one. And in this case, the Russian terrorist regime cannot bite what it fears. Right now they fear NATO. Right now they fear the free world still. However, that fear might not last for long. If Ukraine falls, that fear will be gone for good. And then, well, my friends, then Russia will start behaving much more openly against the free world. Then they might start a little cheeky special military operation against Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania perhaps. Then they will really put some fireworks in Europe. And what will these appeasers say? What will these mutes claim at that? What will George Galloway say, I wonder? He will say that the Ukrainians have had it coming. If this country collapses tomorrow and descends into chaos, George Galloway is going to go on the TV and is going to say they had it coming, they deserve it. You know why? Because he loathes everything about this country. And it truly is painful to see treacherous scumbags like that get into power and have their voice be heard. Sure, George Galloway is not particularly popular, only among some very niche circles. But my friends, the very fact that he does have some popularity, it speaks volumes about how misinformed the wider population is about the things he speaks of, about the things that are happening right now in this world. My friends, this war started against the Ukrainian people by the Russian terrorist regime has been going on for a very long time now. In a couple of months, it's going to be 10 years ever since the invasion of Donbass and the annexation of Crimea. That is when this war started. It's going to be 3 years of the full-scale invasion. That is when this war has had its biggest escalation. When Russia attacked at night, without so much as a declaration of war, with a full-scale invasion of Ukraine, but not only from Russia, also from Belarus. And then Russia has the face to complain, oh, Ukraine is getting too much help, that's not fair. Well, is it fair that the Russians staged their surprise attack from Belarus? And as they were striking the Ukrainian positions from Belarus, Ukraine was not allowed to strike theirs, because they were in Belarus, not in Russia. What kind of sense does that make, my friends? What kind of sense does it make to sign the peace treaty with Russia and for Russia to betray it less after? That, my friends, is the second Minsk agreement. When the Russians had the Battle of Debaltseve with the Ukrainian army, and then they thought, perhaps we can use this peace treaty to sneak attack the Ukrainians again, and they did. And they won that battle. Exactly because of that, my friends. They signed a treaty ratified by many other countries. And yet at the end the Russians betrayed that treaty, because that is what they always do. They sign treaties just so that they can betray them later on if they feel like they can get something out of it. if they feel like they can get away with it. That is the most important thing, my friends. That is the mentality of a bully. A bully's priority is not to hurt people. A bully's priority is to get away whilst hurting people. That is the main priority, my friends. If a bully feels like he's gonna attack someone, bully someone, and then he's gonna get a bloody nose for it, he's never gonna do it. He will never touch that person. But if he feels like he will get away scot-free, he will do it again and again and again. The same can be said about Russia. They will keep repeating this sad parade we've been witnessing over and over again, with many other countries being bloodied up by the Russian war criminals, and with the world being silent every single time. Oh, because you know, we can't be too harsh on Russia. They're a world superpower, you know. Superpower by which terms? What do they have? What does Russia have that makes them a world superpower? Do they have a big economy? No. Do they have a powerful military? No. Do they have good diplomatic relations? Lots of allies? No. So what do they have? Can we really call Russia a superpower simply because they have a lot of nuclear weapons? And speaking of which, now this is a really important topic, so I would really ask everyone who can hear us to listen to this carefully. The United States of America has had an average expenditure on its military of about $700 billion a year. All of its military together. Russia has had a military expenditure on its armed forces of $50 billion a year before war, before this war started. My friends, the US used up $40 billion only to maintain its nuclear weapons. Russia uses $50 billion on its whole military. And the ratio is that the US uses $50 billion on its nukes, and the rest of $750 billion goes on the rest of the military. So what's that ratio, my friends? Russia cannot maintain their nuclear weapons, and they are too scared to even touch them now, because they've been laying rusting into the dirt for years now. So what are these empty threats we keep hearing? Oh, you know, we're gonna nuke the whole world. They need to maintain those weapons. My friends, if somebody holds a gun completely rusted, a gun that has never been shot for many years, a gun you don't even know if it's loaded or not. Someone comes with a gun like that to a police station, starts waving it around and saying, "Hear my demands, police, hear my demands." What does the police do? Do they hear the demands of a madman with a rusty gun? Or do they tell them, hands in the air? And if he does not put his hands in the air, what should happen to a complete psychopath waving a gun in a public place? My friends, that psychopath should be put down. Same as Russia. Russia needs to be put down at long last. And then we will not have the war in Ukraine. We will not have any proxy wars in Africa that Russia is waging right now. We will not have the Wagner group, a neo-Nazi battalion, traveling around the world collecting scalps from its victims. Then we will not have any of that. And that, my friends, is exactly what we should strive for. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
And now, my friends, we will have another short musical break.
Тож дозвольте,
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Once again, my friends, it is interesting to hear some of our opposition speak about this topic. Now, once again, you would be forgiven if you do not know what our opposition says, because they usually only speak in their own echo chambers. They refuse to speak with us or with any other people who question their mentality, who question their views. Which is sad, but alas, they're not the only ones who do as such. There's plenty of ideologies in these worlds that only survive in a vacuum. Now, one of the things that they usually speak of is, oh, you know, there's corruption in Ukraine, the most corrupt country is horrible, which is a very interesting point to make. I personally like to hear this topic. So nobody complained about corruption when Ukraine was giving up the third biggest nuclear arsenal in the world. And yet, when it is the turn of the world to give something back to Ukraine, and people start complaining. It's interesting, truly. It's like you lend money to someone, and then when you ask for that money back, the person you lended money to tells you, oh, you know, but you're a crook, you're a crony, you didn't get that money with honest means. Well, but you borrowed that money, you took the money, so give it back. Oh, no, but you're not trustworthy, no, I can't trust you, you're a crook. Imagine that situation. Wouldn't that be interesting? Now, the point I'm making is, my friends, these allegations against Ukraine are irrelevant. People should support Ukraine. And the main reason for that is not even that Ukraine is in the right. It's not even that people are dying. The main reason is because it's in the favor of the people of the free world to support Ukraine. If Ukraine falls, in a year or two, Russia will appropriate the Ukrainian resources. Russia will appropriate the Ukrainian manpower. Russia will reorganize, rebuild, regroup, and then move for the future war against any other European nation. Most likely Moldova. That's the most likely target. Perhaps Georgia. Perhaps Georgia. How are you, my friend? You'll debate with me. Lovely. What's the point you'd like to give us today? Well, what's the point you have today, my friend? Cut to the chase. Well, go ahead. No, we don't give the microphone to anyone. I'll repeat it. Our side is one-sided. Okay, cool. What's your point? No, my friend. I'm sorry. Oh my God, not this. My friend. Oh, it's a free country. Okay, it's a free country. Okay, it's a free country. I don't have to give you the microphone. I don't have to give you any time. It's a free country. It's a free country. I can just simply ignore you from now on. My friend, if you had decorum, if you had some basic decorum, if you didn't just storm in the stage, I'm very happy to. Oh, here we go. Here come the insults. Now this is a classic so-called free speech advocate, so-called quote-unquote free speech advocate. They up to you. They claim they are pro-free speech. They get in your face. They start acting violently. They refuse to do what they're asked to do, and then they're like, "Oh, how dare you? You're infringing on my freedom of speech. How dare you? How dare you?
Can you go to another place? Can you go here?
No one is
I'm talking to them now. Piss off.
Can you go to another
Get your
place?
fucking hands off.
My friend, how about this? Hold on. Why don't you?
Another place.
Hey!
Can you go on to another place?
Anyway, my friend, we occasionally we get people like this. Rarely, but occasionally we do. People who refuse to listen to reason. Here, looking for trouble. Yeah, but I didn't ask you to get physical. I didn't ask you to get into stage. I didn't tell you to take the microphone. My friend, I didn't tell you to act this way. I did not tell you to do this. Why are you
Can you go to another place?
Why are you getting physical then? I don't understand. Listen, now he wants to debate. Although he's already active physically. He's already got the physical. He's already started getting physical with us. And now he wants to debate again. Now this is pure pro-Russian mentality, my friends. I'm sorry to say, this is pure pro-Russian mentality. Act violent. And then act like a... Oh, you know, I was being French. I was not being allowed to speak. My friend, I was willing and able here to speak.
Can you go to another place?
You know what you did? You started pointing at the flags and no other flags.
Can you go to another place?
You're here to cause trouble, that will come.
My friend, why don't you just stay there? Why don't you just stay there? Why don't you just stay there? Stop moving about, stop trying to challenge people, and speak to me like this. Why don't you ask your question? What do you mean, come on? Ask your question.
Can you ask
your
from here?
question.
I'm not out to the shop for a minute.
I can hear you. Last chance. Are you going to ask your question or not? No question. Look, nothing.
Boris Johnson.
Okay, here we go.
Boris Johnson came on to Ukraine.
Ah, the usual Russian conspiracy. It was Boris Johnson.
It's a conspiracy.
Oh, look at him, look at him. I'm literally explaining why it's a conspiracy. But I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. People are freezing. Who's freezing? Who's freezing, pal? Look around you. This is a country of plenty. This is a country where people live well. People try to get to this country. They risk their lives to get to this country. Oh, coward, okay. I am forced to share this microphone, my friends. Oh, here we go. I'll answer this. I'll answer this.
Why you not going to Ukraine?
Wait. Do you want me to answer or not? Do you want me to answer? Jan, please. Jan, please, come to the side. Come this side. No, don't worry about it. This individual is very rude. This individual is very uncouth. But I will answer your question. Now, my friend, a while ago... No, wait. My friends, everybody here should listen and should feel this. This is an important question that needs to be answered. This individual came to us, started saying, why are we sending billions to you? Wait. I'm literally answering your question. I am literally answering your question. And you refuse to listen. May I answer your question?
Give me the mic.
Oh, give me the mic. You see, you came here to steal the mic. You didn't come here to ask questions. You're all ego, no talk. You have no questions, man. May I answer your question? You asked me why am I not in Ukraine. May I answer your question? May I? Thank you. I'll consider that as a yes. This individual came to us today saying, here we go again. May I answer your question?
I don't need a microphone.
May I answer your question?
Freedom of speech.
Do you want me to answer your question though?
Are you going to assault me?
What? No, film it. Who's assaulting you? Who's assaulting you? My friend, you came here, you
Go
got
to
in my
Russia.
face, you started demanding
Go
to be given the
to
microphone.
Russia.
May I answer your question? Okay, I'm answering his question. My friends, this is an important moment here. Watch the demeanor of this individual who wants to stop funding to Ukraine and watch our demeanor. Watch that with attention. Now, this individual came here today with a point. Why are we paying so much money to Ukraine? Why are we helping Ukraine? Why are we sending aid to Ukraine? Fair enough, we could answer that. And then, after asking why are we sending aid, after we are sending aid to Ukraine, after asking why are we sending aid to Ukraine,
Go to Russia.
he asked me, why are you not in Ukraine fighting? In other words, he wants to cut aid for Ukraine and he wants to send Ukrainians to Ukraine to fight with no aid. With Ukraine already not having enough weapons to fight, you want to cut the aid and send all the Ukrainians to die there. That's a lovely idea you have. But this is my answer to...
How many storm shadows have you had?
That's a different question, my friend. I'm still answering your previous question. That's a different question, my friend. I'm still answering your previous question.
Go to Russia.
This is a
Go to Russia.
interaction. Look, people are interested. People want to know the answers, right? People want to know why people are helping Ukraine right now. I'll tell you why. Because every life of a Ukrainian saved today is a life of a Westerner saved tomorrow. Russia is the enemy of this country, and Russia brainwashes poor
Go
individuals
to
like this
Russia!
one into
Go
coming out
to
into
Russia!
the streets,
Go
claiming that
to
he is some
Russia!
kind of a free speech advocate, then getting violent, getting abusive, and then getting surprised. Oh, why am I being kicked out of the rally? I was only being abusive and calling names to people.
Go
I
to
wonder,
Russia!
my friends, here is the answer once again. It is not the priority of the Ukrainian community to be sending everyone to the war. We don't send people in meat waves like the Russians do. The difference between victory and defeat in this war is whether or not Ukraine gets the weapons that Ukraine needs to win this war. Modern wars are not won with meat waves. Modern wars are won with modern weapons. And this lovely individual we have here today, he wants to stop supplying Ukraine with those modern weapons that are the question of victory or defeat.
You are a coward!
Go to Russia! Go to Russia! Go to Russia!
I literally
Go to
I literally
Russia.
just answered your question.
Right, you're standing here with our freedoms.
Jan,
Go
please,
to
Jan,
Russia.
Jan, I'm
Go
begging you, please
to
come here.
Russia.
Jan, please. Please, guys, leave this man alone. Poor man has mental issues, clearly. I literally just answered your question, my friend. Okay, here we go. Listen, if you weren't shouting, why are you not in Ukraine? And instead you listened, why I'm not in Ukraine. If you listened to my answer.
Listen to you.
Oh, you don't
Go
have
to
listen me.
Russia.
No, why are you
Go
here then?
to
You're here
Russia.
to shout but not to listen. I listened to you. I listened to your question. I answered your question, but you refused to listen to me.
I have to shout.
Oh, you have to shout. Okay.
Yes.
No, you have to ask a question, which you did, and I answered your question.
No, I came there to ask a question.
Anyway, look, at this point, we're kind of walking in circles here. We're kind of walking in circles here at this point. I answered your question. I answered your question, my friend. I explained why it's in the interests of the West to support Ukraine. I answered all of your questions.
You're a coward.
Oh, you're a coward. Here we go. Yanis, please. Just leave the poor man. Leave this. Yanis. Hey, my friend. Hold on. Okay, look. This rally is very tolerant of people like this individual here. Because here we go. He interrupts me again. Because we respect the British values. One of the main British values is freedom of expression. In other words, we respect freedom of expression. Now, my friend, you've clearly shown yourself as very ignorant and somebody who's picking fights, who's looking for trouble.
Go to
You're not
Russia.
looking for a discussion.
Go
I've
to
answered your
Moscow.
question. You refuse to listen to my answer. Guys, please, just leave the man alone. From now on, I will simply be ignoring this individual. And you will see that he'll get bored and he will eventually leave. But hopefully this will be good entertainment for the passerbys. Hopefully this lovely little jester right here in the center. Hopefully this lovely jester will be good entertainment for the people, my friends. Now, I will continue this. Whoa! Now that's an actual crime. That's an actual offense. He's
Slava
messing with
Ukraini.
private property. You could go to jail for that, my friend. You could go to jail for that. You actually go to jail for that. You see, this is what happens with quote-unquote free speech advocates who support Russia. When they are not spoken to, when you stop feeding the troll, they get physical. He just tried to damage our equipment right here. It was nice and visible for everyone. My friends, it's time to realize at long last that these individuals, they are the lowest of the low. They have no morals, they have no qualms with acting whatever way they're acting. Now, I am glad he came here today, because it showed to every person who passed by us how these people behave, how our opposition behaves. Like animals. They forgot that they are people. They start screaming, shouting, insulting, and then, when they are not spoken to, just like a baby, they throw a tantrum, they get physical, they try to damage property, they try to attack people. My friends, it's time to wake up to this level of idiotic behavior. And it's time to give Ukraine what's needed to finally end this war. Fighter jets for Ukraine.
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 Air defense 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 for Ukraine.
Long range missiles 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 for Ukraine.
Let Ukraine strike back.
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 More sanctions on Russia.
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 Seize Russian assets.
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 Stop Russia, stop the war.
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 Help Ukraine protect peace.
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 You know, my friends, this situation reminded me of a different situation. It happened a while ago, like a month ago. This wacky individual came to us and started drawing some circles and some words, some messages here on the pavement. Now, it was interesting because I came to him without microphone. This was before I did a speech. I came to him and I asked him, "Hey, my friend, what would you like to say today? What is your message?" On his level, we were here on the same level, no microphones, just a nice little conversation back and forward. You know what he did? He turned his back to me. He turned again to the person with the microphone. So later on, when I was doing a speech with the microphone, guess what happened? The man suddenly decided to speak to me. My friends, it's not a matter of asking and answering. It's a matter of ego. It's pure and simple ego. If people refuse to interact on the same level, if people refuse to speak politely, people refuse to ask and answer questions, well, my friends, then any discourse is impossible. It's as simple as that. But with that, we will move on from this topic. Hopefully this situation will be sorted out. But that over there was a crime. You know, trying to meddle with the equipment, trying to mess up the equipment, that is an actual crime. So you could go to jail for that, my friend. Anyway, less of that, my friends.
We have video.
I remind you,
I do video.
that our rallies happen here at 10 Downing Street on Wednesdays at 6, Fridays at 6, Sundays at 3. However, next Wednesday, or rather, next week's Wednesday, today's still Sunday, still this week, so next week's Wednesday, as you know, it's going to be New Year, and there will be no rallies on Wednesday, only this once. All the other Wednesdays, please come and show your support, my friends. It's very important that you do. And if you have basic manners, I have to say that now, please interact with us, ask a question. We're perfectly willing and able to answer questions, to interact with the crowd if they're interested. However, if people storm at us, get in our faces, start insulting us, start getting physical, well, that's not something we're going to tolerate, is it? It's a completely different situation. But for those who have the basic decorum of interacting, please come and show your support. It's unbelievably important that you do. And it doesn't matter where people are from, which country, which ethnicity. We accept anyone who would like to say a few words, who would like to join us and add their voice to ours. Because that is unbelievably important, my friends. One of the main values of this country is freedom of expression. But for expression to be free, We need to be free from violence. We can't be acting up. We can't be attacking each other. We can't be hitting each other. We can't be having any of that. We shouldn't be insulting each other. We should be speaking back and forward with others, right? That's the best way, my friends. That is the best way. Alas, sometimes it's made difficult, but we hope that one day humanity will be able to interact peacefully with each other, and they will be able to speak and be listened, and to listen to what others are saying. That's very important. Communication is a two-way road. It goes both ways. You know, you ask, you answer. You answer, you ask. It's as simple as that. However, the Russian terrorist regime has declared war on freedom of speech. They have declared war on the truth. People go to jail in Russia simply for claiming that this war is a war. They refuse to accept the fact that they are fighting a war of genocide against the Ukrainian people. And most importantly of all, they try to mess with the minds of the people in the West, trying to convince them, oh, you know, in Russia there's freedom of speech, but in the West, ooh, there's no freedom of speech in the West. This is what they always say. It's complete nonsense. My friends, in Russia you go to jail for something as simple as calling a war a war. In Russia you go to jail for something as simple as saying, oh, you know, maybe this war is not the best thing, not the best decision by our government. There was a man who went to jail for 5 years simply for showing disagreement on this quote-unquote special military operation. He just said, I don't agree with it. He just said, I don't think this is a good thing. And he went to jail in Russia. And are we truly supposed to believe that Russia is the beacon of freedom of speech, but the West, oh, the West, it's so oppressive? Of course. That's why everybody tries to migrate here. That's why people try to come here, where life is good. My friends, people vote with their feet. What that means is people go where they feel like they will get a better quality of life. Here people don't freeze to death. Here people don't starve to death. Here people do not have to endure the abuse that people have to endure in the countries that Russia is dominating right now. Look at Georgia. They are coming outside, trying to show that they want to be part of Europe, not of Russia. And what are the Russians doing to them? They've constantly persecuted them. They use tear gas. They mix chemicals in the water that they shoot at them so that it causes irritation in the eyes and in the skin. My friends, it's time to wake up. It's time to see Russia for what it is, an enemy of this country, this great country of Great Britain, an enemy of the free world, and your enemy also. For some people might think that Russia is neutral for them, but you can be very much sure, my friends, that Russia does not see you as neutral. They see you as either enemies or victims, one of the two, never friends. And that, my friends, is what everybody in this world should know. World, wake up!
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 All together, we will win!
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 Stop Russia, stop the war!
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 My friends, one of the main messages we send here is a request for people to not forget that monument over there, the cenotaph. It symbolizes the people who have suffered and died to achieve freedom in this country. Now, there are more heroes, more brave men and women who are fighting and dying for Europe to continue to live in peace. In the name of those who have died, in the name of those who have suffered, I'd like to invite you all, my friends, to do a minute of silence. Thank you. Memory, when manifested into history, is one of the main things that distinguish human beings from animals. It is something we have at our disposal that allows us to learn with the mistakes of the past, to not do those mistakes again, to not fall prey to the same pitfalls that we have fallen to in the past, my friends. And that is one of the main messages we have for you today. There's been a myriad of situations in human history where the aggressor has been appeased, same way Russia is being appeased right now. And it has never even once resulted in something good. My friends, it's time to stop repeating this tragic history. It's time to look into the future after learning with the past. It's time to stop appeasing psychopaths and criminals and trying to negotiate peace with them when they have betrayed their word over and over and over again. And we stand here to inform everyone who's willing to learn about this of every time that Russia broke their agreement, every time Russia started a new genocidal war, every time Russia betrayed those who trusted them, every time Russia abused human rights, every time Russia violated the Geneva Convention. Of course, in these short 2 hours we have here, we do not have time to speak about every single thing Russia has done wrong. But we will speak about the most important things that people should be aware of. And people should be aware of the fact that Russia is a terrorist regime, and it is not planning to stop in Ukraine. It is planning to continue. This is what they say in their propaganda TV. This is what they say when they speak to the West. This is what they say to everyone except to your average person. To your average person. You see, the Russians spread a myriad of conspiracy theories. Every single one of them has one aim only: to confuse people. Not all of those conspiracy theories will say, oh, Putin is the good guy, West is bad. No, many of them might, to an extent, chastise Putin for his actions. But every single one of them will have something in common. Every single one of them will have the main aim of making sure that people are confused and that people act on that confusion. Act against whatever country they live in. Act against whatever entity Russia dislikes. That is what holds them together. That is why you see far left communists and far right Nazis both supporting Russia. That is why you see people whose opinions have nothing in common, and yet they find common ground on this cause because they are extremists. And extremists always love Russia, even though Russia is not truly on their side, because Russia peddles to their small minds. Russia caters to these people. They enable them. They reassure them of their own biases. They use them and they abuse them. They make hordes of useful idiots ready to go out into the streets and causing trouble. Not dissimilar like what happened here in the United Kingdom a few months ago with the large-scale riots that happened, all based on lies, all based on misinformation shared on social media. My friends, we live in an era of information. But an era of information is also an era of disinformation. And every single one of us needs to be very careful with what we trust. That is what's going to decide our actions, our agency in this country and in every free country that still allows their people to have agency. That is why that agency is so important. So speak, my friends, speak to each other. Do some research on this topic. Learn what's going on in the world around you and make an informed decision based on the facts at hand. That is what we are here for. to tell people about the atrocities of Russia and to tell people that they are not planning to limit those atrocities to the Ukrainian people. If they had the power to do as such, they would oppress every person on this earth, just as long as their elites had it their way and had some caviar to eat at every meal. My friends, the Russian terrorist regime has not changed its ways since the Soviet Union. Although the regime had collapsed, the new people who came into power were just as corrupt, just as genocidal as the Soviet regime's leadership. Same can be said about the Nazis. Speaking of which, this is a fun little bit of trivia for all the people who are interested in World War II. Does anyone here want to give a guess on whose side did the Soviet Union start World War II on? Don't want to put anyone on the spot, but here's something that might shock some people. The Soviet Union started World War II on the same side as the Nazis. That's right. They signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Treaty with Hitler. They split Poland in half. Half would go to Hitler, half would go to Stalin. And there you go, my friends. One of the main arguments of the Russian terrorist regime about, denazification. It's quite funny. Putin kept romanticizing the Soviet Union throughout his whole political career. And yet he never mentioned the simple fact that the Soviet Union was the #1 collaborant with Nazi Germany, as they have started World War II on the same side. Thank you, my friend. Some people know about this. One nation in particular knows about this better than anyone else. That nation is Poland. They know that the Soviets are just as bad as the Nazis because they have had to experience both at the same time. The Ukrainians are another people who know very well that the Soviets are the same level of genocide as the Nazis, as the Ukrainians fought against both also. And there are many other peoples in this world who have had the unfortunate experience of having Russian troops in their lands dictate their new laws. Look at Georgia, look at Abkhazia and South Ossetia. Similar situation to Ukraine before the full-scale war. Look at Moldova, again another similar situation, where still Russian troops in Transnistria. And in Ukraine, my friends, when they invaded Crimea, when they annexed Donbass, when they annexed all of those regions, who could have thought that they would have attacked the rest of Ukraine? Well, the Ukrainian people were speaking about it, but the world did not hear. When Georgia was attacked in 2008, the world did not listen. And that is exactly why Russia continues to act this way. They feel like they will get away with it. And we must, at long last, show the whole world that it will be otherwise. Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
And now, my friends, we are going to end this rally as we started it with the Ukrainian anthem.
Не вмерла України ні слава, ні воля. Ще нам, браття українці, усміхнеться доля. Згинуть наші вороженьки, як роса на сонці, запануємо ми, браття, у сотій сороці. Душу й тіло ми положим за нашу свободу. І покажем
Слава Україні!
Героям слава!
Слава нації!
Смерть ворогам!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Україна!
Понад усе!
Героям України тричі!
Слава! Слава! Слава!
Ворогам України тричі!
Смерть! Смерть! Смерть!
Дякую.
Ні, я казав, що мене неправда.
done this. It's not funny, man. No, we just know a million times. Yes, sometimes. I've had a couple. No. I've had a couple who have given some back and forward to an extent, but usually with attitude, which we see says he's a passive aggressive thing. It's something like that. They want to trade. Usually it's like this.
Well, is it? You know, it's a bit like, then you've got no idea. If you want to talk about how many stall shadows did you give? It's given second-rate stall shadows. Great, private. So it's like, so this is the wax. Right. Hopefully it's not good stall out. Good stall shadows.
No one's like this is between nonsense. I was in the process of answering his questions and he just interrupted the last question. Like that's a sign of a person who's not here. Just here. I think he's good. That's wrong. Wait, didn't he said that? Oh, no, I should have told him I have British citizenship.
You're not British.
I didn't hear that. Oh, that's all right. No, I think it's I think the worst moment when something like this happened was when a guy was literally surrounded over there by our guys and I was shouting at him and it was horrible. I was having a fucking heart attack shouting at him, please don't go for him, please let him go. But today it was kind of horrible. It was a little bit weird, but it was no, he showed us some problems by trying to mess with the equipment. Like, he just killed his argument right there. Just completely killed his argument. So.
I mean, that never compared. It's an obviously view.
What we gotta do with these people is just let them do
Для всех ватников вот тот дядька с флагом. Вот он. Он с Донецкой области, как и я сам. Все, всем пока.